Hello, Face. Everyone have a good weekend? Gosh, how are you, Steve Vulgaridis? Are you new to Face, Steve Vulgaridis?
Yep, totally new.
Welcome to our community. You're going
Thank
to really
you.
like one of our analysts, Steve Volke. He is
Nice to
similar. He has a similar name. Yours is longer, but
nice to be here. Looking forward to seeing what you do here.
okay. Let me know if you need a refund. Okay, I'll send it postage too.
Send it to Athens, please. Yes, thank you.
All right, hey buddy. So, how's everyone doing? Let's have a great week. Everyone say that. Let's have a great week. Yeah, I think it matters. So this is what we're going to do this week. We're going to have this mantra, okay? Mr. Market, I've done my work. Prove me wrong. This week, you're going to challenge the markets instead of making them challenging. Is that a deal? So that means you don't trade all the time. Okay, so it's interesting. During one of Grega's presentations, and something I've noticed for years is he didn't trust action on Monday. Okay, so it to me, I interpreted it as he wouldn't initiate new positions on Monday. And I look back, and most of the stuff I do on Monday isn't as successful because I know my style. My style is, looking for reversals all the time. Even within a trend. So this is possibly why Mondays aren't the best day to initiate new positions. I'm not saying don't hold any positions. Hi, Monica. Because I look at Fridays, you look at your weekly chart. Okay, so let's look at cable. So it was an up week, right? This candle here. So normally what you get on a Monday is follow through from what happened the week prior. Give me a Y if you get it. Okay, so you're usually going to have follow through. You rarely have like a market closing real well and then a sharp gap lower. I mean, that can happen on news. I'm not saying anything always happens, right? Qualify it. Nothing always happens. Maybe it happens more often than not. That's as close as we can get. So, um, I don't see anything compelling that I'm going to do today, but going into this week, over the weekend, you did your homework, right? You went over all our stuff, right? You did your personal analysis, and as a subscriber, hi, Amanda, you went to all of these different instruments and got views from Grega and Andre and Blake and Steve and Stelios, depending upon what instrument you have an interest in. And you look at what they're saying on different time frames, right? So looks like there's going to be some work updated. Right now, I'm just showing a weekly on Euro. Let's look at cable. It's showing monthly. Okay, so maybe it wasn't the best day to give an example, or I don't know how to use the platform. Anyway, so you do your work, you go over all the areas, all the formations, and maybe you admire Blake's trading. So you look at what Blake's saying here. All right, there's his work. So what you're seeing right here is the same thing that Blake's staring at. Thank you, Rick. Okay, so maybe you want to you're a budding Elliottician, right? Well, here's a pretty good guy to model yourself after. right? And so you're trying to learn wave structure. Well, if you just look at Greg's work, um, over the course of time, you're going to start to learn because Elioticians, as many Elioticians as there are, um, it amazes me how many different counts you could get for the same market because there's always these alternate counts, and not everyone does Elliot the same way. Thank you, Mr. Robot. Maybe you like Andre. Maybe you like harmonics. I mean, to me, harmonics are new, and I've been around for a while. So if I wanted to learn about harmonics, you know, could you find a better guy? I mean, I've interviewed a lot of people that use harmonics. One guy claimed to be the inventor of it. He invented Gartley. Actually, I think one of the first guys to really start working with harmonics is Larry Pesavento, who I know from Chicago, and I've been on the show a few times. But Andre's a master. So, if you're gravitating towards this type of methodology, you have, real pro, and you learn by watching. I don't know about you guys. I'm pretty visual, like our president. And if I hear it, it's how I got through school. I never read the textbooks. I don't have the attention span to sit and read. But if I attended lectures and I heard what they said, which is great about face because you're hearing what we're thinking and you learn from hearing about these things. Like, maybe Monday is just a follow through day from the rest of the week. And maybe you look at your results on trades you initiated on Monday. But this is what's going to make you better is surrounding yourself with traders that are better than you, at least your equals. And they're all in here. They're all in the chat room. They blocked me. Oh no, look. Oh, see, they're going to let me in. So, you ever hear this expression? Why would you want to join a country club that would allow you in? Right? So, anyway, you could tell they have a heart if they're going to let me in to, bring my personality into the mix. So, this is where you're going to learn, and not just faces an hour and a half a day, right? And half an hour is an interview. But these guys are at, hey guys, I know you're on the Jumbotron. I haven't done this for a while. There's Blaker. Okay, so I mean, Blake hangs in there. What about during the day, say 2 hours from now? All right, face is over. There's some news. It moves cable. Amanda's in here all the time too. Nice call on the end, Amanda, from last week, and the week before. Um, this is really going to be an edge for you. So if you're serious and it's not just a hobby, you need to join. So I'm going to come out of the chat room now. Okay. Hi, Mom. Okay. So anyway, a couple of things I might be looking at. Well, I am looking at. So the Swiss was pretty good to me last week, even though the dollar was stiff, had a pretty negative week. Shows up better on the 1 hour. We had this, because we closed here the week before. And I'm thinking maybe back towards 25 or 30 because, when I look at this daily here, it's just sitting on this ledge of support that held. And we had an up week with some follow through here. If we take out this 98.70 level, there's some big space underneath it. Then you have here. Um, and I don't know if this is going to be precipitated by risk off, risk on, but I think that, we're putting in some type of distribution top here and a breakdown under 98.5 would be an add-on. I'm going to be selling rallies up here around 25, 30, maybe another 10, 20 pips higher, but I'm not going to do it today. And that is why. Why aren't I going to do it today? because we are following through from the rebound the Swiss had on Friday. So we'll see. Let it have a day to stretch its wings. Looking at the end, boy, this screwed up some technicians, huh? Breakdown back above the channel line. So I'm not a big fan of channel lines, but it does tell you this kind of looks like a false breakdown, but I can't buy it here because maybe it's a failing rally. I'm looking at yields, and last week talked about that there was potential, even though we already accomplished this, ABC, hit targets, cleaned out buy stops here, that there could be one more push up here with risk on. Okay, and certainly have risk on, right? I still say the Nasdaq's a better short. I think we're going to top this week. You ever hear me say that before?
Never,
Huh?
personally. Personally, never.
The boy who cried wolf. Anyway, there'll be a top in the market someday, and I'm going to be there. I still think this is it. Steve, we'll look at a couple of the issues. Perhaps Microsoft won't be open, but it looks like your charts, they're all headed towards your numbers. So I've been pretty long-winded. The other trade I'm laying for, and it held, and now I thought we might have a chance to get up to 58.5. So far, we did make a new high in crude at 58, and we had Shy Girl on and drew this channel so you could take a screenshot if you like. Here you go. It's a 4-hour chart, and the upper side of the channel comes in right around this fib level, maybe a little higher up here, 58.85. So we'll see if that develops too. I mean, so far, I think that this action, all right, you're talking about a couple of weeks, and if it's correlated to economic strength in the stock market, you have to say it's really been dogging it, right? So that's on my watch list for short. I hope you had a great weekend, Blake. I know the weather's beautiful. I have friends that live there, and they're really enjoying being able to just sit outside and
Oh yeah, this
have
is top.
barbecues.
This is top down weather right
You
now.
probably played golf.
I didn't actually. I did not. I did not.
Perfect weather.
Yeah, it's really. It's funny. We have such great golf courses. I tend to play more in the summertime when it's hot, and because the prices are
okay.
are
cheaper.
more reasonable, so I can go play the courses that normally cost like $200 a round. I can play them for $100. But in the wintertime, it's like $250 a round. I'd rather just go drink beer somewhere.
Would it be fun to have the whole team on a miniature golf course?
That would be cool. Yeah, if you're willing to fly everybody in from Europe, yeah, it'd be great. Yeah,
count me in.
down. I'm down for that.
Let me look at my.
Let me look at my
piggy bank.
$250.
It's how much?
How many beers do we get for $250?
How much is it to fly from Athens to California?
Oh, it's a lot.
Oh gosh, it's got to be $1,500 I would say.
Each way or round trip?
Round trip.
Yeah. Peanuts. Yeah. All right, it's a deal.
Yeah.
So what are you doing this morning to help me pay for these tickets, Blake?
I'm doing aside from sitting in a dollar yen short, I'm not doing much of anything. I'm just sitting around it. If you watch the week ahead video, let me pull up the
grab it.
Here. Yeah. Which screen am I using now? Okay, this one. So if you watch the week ahead video, I was really focused on the S&P, and I pulled up the index. This is the S&P index, and this is the what I was hoping for today. What I was hoping for is we would have some sort of little gap down, and we'd leave up a island top, island reversal, but that's not going to be the case. I mean, the market.
Well, maybe it will, but from a higher level, because we have another gap. Maybe eventually we do leave an island.
We could, I guess.
But I mean,
Maybe.
it's sure a scary looking short right there, but
Oh yeah. I mean,
those are the
it's
best ones.
yeah, the ones that make you puke.
Yeah.
So what I was pointing out is that we are at 161% extension of this move. Right there, 161% extension of this move. But we have surpassed all the other fib extensions. That was the confluence that you saw, here. Okay, we had this 127% right here. Oh, I'm sorry, this wasn't the one. Where that we had a confluence right here. This is 127%. You know what? Let me make them different colors. That probably will help. We had this confluence right here going into this last week. 127% extension. A couple of those fibs that were working, and then we broke out. We were just we were nudging our head up against those numbers, and then Friday we broke out. Now,
was
this
there
market
trade news, positive trade news or something to gap it today?
Well, we're yeah. So I guess Kudlow or
Okay.
there was positive China
Okay.
U.S. negotiations. They had a talk on Friday. You had this very small interest rate cut on reserves in China overnight. So that's all. The market's very
Okay.
much in FOMO mode. No FOMO.
Yeah, it is.
or missing the fear of missing out. Hold on, let me grab volume. No, whoops. Let me go to favorites. Built it now. Where I was just.
And didn't Andre have some type of harmonic pattern in NASDAQ that you showed last week, Blake? That I'm wondering if it blew that out. Yeah, some type of, it may have been a Gartley or something. But maybe later you deal with it. Do your thing here.
Yeah, let me go ahead and why is my volume? First of all, I guess I got to ask, where did my volume go? And why isn't it appearing?
I also think, coach, that this week we'll find some type of short-term top. But with the whole game they play with, follow the carrot with the trade deal, etc. I doubted that it's going to be, the top. I think we might as well be headed to, a blow-off type of situation like the one we had in
January of 18.
Yeah, exactly. But next time I think it's going to be the final,
like this one, right? Yeah, this one right here.
Yeah, but I think the next one is going to be fatal. That's going to be it.
Well, we'll see. But what I wanted to point up here is volume's pretty anemic on this rally, and so that's something to note. That doesn't mean it's going to stop either. So this market is, everybody is, wanting to be in the game when there's a China-U.S. trade deal. That's the bottom line. No one wants to miss out on this phase one signing, if you will. And so the markets are, extending their gains. And if I'll go over to the CFD, which is the futures basically. And you can see this is Friday. This is today. We continue to extend. Now,
that supports volume there. The other one just didn't support volume as it seems.
Yeah, the index did not. But you can see how anemic the volume is on this rally, and that's something to note. In my opinion, that's a fairly big, deal. So, but that doesn't, like I said, it doesn't mean it's going to stop. It doesn't mean the market's going to, just, roll over and die. It's just the market's not supported on strong buying. What the hell is going on right now? Wait, hold on. Mood in Beijing about trade deal is pessimistic, government sources tell me. This is Eunice Moon. She says China troubled after Trump said no tariff rollback. China thought both had agreed in principle. Strategy now to talk but wait due to impeachment, U.S. election, also prioritize China economic support. So that is from Eunice News. Eunice Yoon she is a CNBC host and commentator. So let me pull her. Dang it. Here, let me pull up her Twitter profile. You can read this here, and that just is getting hit, and you can see right here. This is 2 minutes ago, and this is what just came out, and you can see that the dollar yen's rolling over, stocks are rolling over a little bit as a result to this. So we have to be a little careful. Is this do you need to run out and start shorting the market? I don't know about that. I'd probably watch price action. For me, it's like, well, for me to actually want to be short S&P, I really would like to see some lower lows on a weekly basis. That means we'd have to break all the way back down below 30.75 before I feel really comfortable. But this Eunice she's always the if you watch CNBC, she is the anchor on CNBC in Asia. So this is a fairly big deal when she has sources tell me, CNBC is pretty good as far as, delivering, the breaking news when it matters. And they have good reporters like Eunice that's out there, especially regarding China. So dollar yen's really under some pressure right now. And it looks like the futures are coming off quite a bit too. So, just some food for thought. Now, look, stocks haven't opened yet. And I was looking at that index, and stocks will open an hour from now. So who knows? Maybe an hour from now we are trading down here at 3110, maybe another 10 points lower, and we end up getting that island top reversal in the S&P. It could happen. So you guys have to just keep a real close eye on what's developing. And I think this is the big news. I mean, obviously it's the China-US trade deal. I mean, for me, there's really nothing to do right now other than focus on what's happening with China-US. I've clearly mentioned and talked about hold on really quick. Let me just read. Okay, I just want to retweet that.
Pretty good fade going on right here in the S&P.
Oh yeah. There is.
I think the Chinese are gonna really grill Trump.
Yeah, there's no deal. There's no deal
in the worst way possible. I mean, in order for him to save face, he had to divide the deal in phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, or whatever. Which, in essence, phase 1.
Only thing they need from us is food. Okay,
yeah, phase 1 is nothing. Phase 1 is nothing, and they're even playing hard to agree on phase 1 because they know he needs a deal.
They need pork. That's what they need.
Yeah,
pork prices have doubled, Blake. So if you have any Mushu pork or in China, that's their main meat protein.
You are such an American. I have to say
it's going to sound funny to you.
I am, and I'm proud. I used to be proud to be one.
It was a whole issue here because they're buying our pork as well. So the
Greek
price of
pork, it's not kosher, man.
All right, guys.
All right, go ahead.
The price of souvlaki has skyrocketed.
So this is a pair that I think everybody should be watching. This is the Euro Aussie. This will tell you a lot of the kind of mood in risk appetite, especially when you're dealing with China. And I've been watching it carefully, and the reason why is we had this this ascending wedge. We kind of did a false breakdown here. You notice we're coming right up to resistance. I have an alarm actually set, a couple of different alarms set on this downtrend line. This is a 618 retracement. This is also, you can see a 38% retracement right here. Now we have RBA meeting minutes later tonight, so that's something else to pay attention to if you're focused on this. But a move above the 38% retracement, which is 132.90. I think that's going to be a fairly big deal for the Euro Aussie. Um, if we break this, but the reason why the Euro Aussie is more of a focus for me is because I believe the Euro, as many of you know, Euro is going to be a risk off type of indicator for me. I think it'll go higher. The Aussie will go lower if it's regarding China. So if we have, negative China risk off, it's going to show up in the Euro Aussie. So I believe the Euro Aussie is like the one currency pair that I think we should be watching right now, and that's why if we start breaking into the let's just call it 163 level, I think that is truly a risk off indication regarding China. And right now, the dollar yen's really just giving it up. One of the other things I want to point out before I pass it over to you, Steve, is take a look at the euro yen. Big rejection this morning on the euro yen. If you have Forex Analytics, you were notified that we hit the 618 big downsloping trend line. I think you got notified. Well, let's just take a look here for those of you that don't use it. Basic technical analysis. This was 1 hour ago. Euro yen trading at downtrend line and 618 retracement. This is a big resistance for the pair currently, and that's where we were at. We were right at 120.60. We are 120.36 now, so it's dropped quite aggressively. Something that you guys should be watching. And this is, I got to go back to CNBC. This is a really, really big. This is a big deal in my opinion. This China news, because this mood in Beijing about government sources tell me. I mean, she's got her sources. Yeah. Anyway, all right. Well, that's what we should be watching this morning. Of course, it's all happening as we're speaking. So I'm gonna have to go deal with my account right now.
I bet by the end of the day we're going to have like 100 statements from the US side that everything is okay, everything is moving in the right direction.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Of course, you know that's coming, but
yeah.
I'd rather take the word of somebody with boots
No,
on the
I
ground.
agree with you. I agree with
The
you.
administration is going to be here to smooth over anything that they're like, holy crap, the market's starting to get unwound here. Let's you guys get out, block a get on Fox News right now. Say something good, and that's going to happen. I mean, it's going to happen. So, what I would not be doing is chasing the market lower. If you didn't get a trade off at the 109 level or at the 108.90, then wait for a bounce. If you can get a bounce back to 108, maybe 90 again, that might be an opportunity.
Are you booking something here, Blake?
No,
On your yen short?
no.
Nice trade.
I want to. Well, I'm short right around here, so I actually want to stay short into the next year.
Okay.
That's my, because I'm in
Cool.
the camp.
All
I'm
right.
in the camp. Just what Steve said. I 100% agree that I just don't think China's going to do it. I don't think they're going to, unless they get exactly what they want, which is basically getting us back to where we were 2 years ago. I don't think they're going to play ball. And I think
What are you thinking? Like maybe 105 on the weekly or new lows?
Well, that it's to be seen. I mean, I'm more in the camp as long as we stay below 109.50, I'll stay short. Where we go, I'm not a palm reader or an astrologer. Is astrology guy. This wedge. This tells me that we could break down to 106. We could break, as far as I'm concerned, we could break this whole wedge if things really start to unwind.
The whole triangle, yeah.
The whole triangle. So why am I going to limit what my possible upside is here if the potential is that we could trade back towards 100?
Okay.
So I'll stay in the trade as long as we not. We don't break higher. I'd like to stay in it.
I bet if we go there, you're in and out of it 100 times.
No, not necessarily. I'll
Really?
probably be working a core position.
Okay.
You know, like I'll just give you an example. I mean, you know,
Okay.
and we don't have any. Do we have any news coming out right now, Steve? Do you know?
Let me see, mate.
Housing market index. That's later. Okay, never mind. Oh no, it's coming out shortly, but actually it should be right now, right?
No, no, it's later.
Oh, it's later. It is
It's
later.
later.
Okay. So I do have to go though, but let me
Go ahead,
just
buddy.
say let me just say that, you know, if we do something like this,
Yeah.
you know, we find like 200-day moving average or, you know, somewhere
Yeah.
around these lows, I might cover some and then look for a bounce to, you know, sell some more and, you
Yeah.
know, and try to cover, you know, bits and pieces and, you know, try to sell into rallies. I'll do that if it, under the right conditions. It has to be that, you know, this China US trade deal is unraveling, then, you know, I'm going to try to hold on to a core position. So,
Yeah.
you know, all right.
Oh,
Okay,
thank you,
guys.
Blake.
Hey, thank you. I hope you guys have a great day and good luck today. And be careful out there. It's kind of squirrely. Okay,
Let's hope we get some movement at least.
let's do it.
Yep.
All right.
Thanks,
Thanks.
Blake.
Steve.
Hey, coach.
So what made you
S&,
think this was going to happen this week and it's actually happening today?
S&P has already given
Yeah.
everything back from the overnight. You remember how long ago we were targeting a specific zone here, right?
Yeah. Okay. See it. And that was what 1.618 came right off it.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Yeah, I think could be witnessing, you know, I'm not saying the end of the bull market, but I actually you know, why can't we trade 2,900 again? I see you just have a little pullback to, you know, back to the breakout. That would be natural. That's a pretty good trade from here.
First area of support, in my opinion, would be the retest of this intermittent trend line, which currently passes, let's say, at 3,055.
Yeah.
And the next and more important downside support would be this 3,020 level, which had capped price action for quite some time, right? So retesting that as support, you know, would be, you know, a very nice target, as you mentioned. I would also very much like to see a very negative day today, having left behind, you know, that upper week in new all-time highs pre-market open. You know,
Like
that
a
would be a
bearish
nice
engulfing candle would be nice, right? I'm not sure what the term is, but
we're asking for a
dark
little
cloud cover with potential showers.
Oh yeah.
Is that what
For a
it's
dark
called?
cloud cover, we need like a move, let's say,
Outside day under
below
Friday's low.
3106, below the middle of Friday's candle, and for engulfing, we need a move below 3096. Not unlikely, not impossible for sure. But yeah, as I said before, just before we got the news, I was expecting a pullback this week. Personally, though, seeing how the administration is, you know, handling things, you know, I think it's quite possible that we get, after a pullback, you know, more all-time highs, right? But I'm quite convinced that the next type of blow-off move to the upside is probably going to be terminal for this rally.
Okay. I know a lot of people are pointing cycle people, and I actually do have a financial astrologer with us today. Kate is from Australia, and she's got an ebook on it. And, you know, cycles are pretty close. Cycles are sometimes based on planetary work, not always, you know, Wheeler and all these people. But I know a lot of people that are looking towards next spring, Steve, for when cycles really start to turn negative. Mark Newton being one of them.
Yeah, can be the case, but you
Yeah.
know, keep in mind on what I said last week. We're getting closer and closer to the elections. If this market starts unraveling, even like a decent correction, then the market won't go up again. And the reason it won't go up again is because it will have to start violently repricing the possibility of Trump being re-elected and instead in his place getting some type of a socialist president, in which case, we're going to have like a huge move to the downside.
Thank you,
I
Steve Cooperman. You're laughing, so you know who I'm talking about,
yeah,
right? Okay.
yeah, I do.
All right, buddy. Well, thanks for filling me in here. I'm interested in what you're thinking about across the board too. And
Okay,
Kate, I see you in the house, so at the top of the hour, I see your hand raised too, so we'll be talking then. And
yeah,
take it
even
away.
a little bit earlier, depends on what the market does. Now,
Okay.
another thing that is worth mentioning today, besides the probable, let's say, reversal, of course, we need a lot more time to confirm, is, and this should come as no shock or surprise to anybody, is that the fact that the cable is breaking out. I mean, if you remember, I think in unison, all of us kept saying that this is clearly a corrective move, right? And people that were expecting the cable to roll over and die, I'm afraid they're still in the wrong side of the market. So we're seeing the cable breaking out from this flag, and I think we can get another extension towards 133. Look at the RSI as well. We're seeing the exact same thing. Price breaking out, RSI breaking out from an equivalent trend line resistance. So
nice.
Second point to mention is this. Now, it was also worth having a look at the GAPI, and you can see here why. Because I had marked since last week this triangle in the GAPI, expecting one more push to highs. Now, theoretically speaking, we have already fulfilled the minimum target, because as you see, the high of today was a higher high, right? And we're now pulling back. I mean, we exceeded this high here marginally, but we did exceed it. Now, ideally, I would have liked to see, and it might still happen, of course, right? An extension towards this resistance area at 143 before we see like a deeper pullback. But as I said, we marginally printed the new high today. So, all bets are off about if we're going to make it 143 or not. Now, two more pound pairs that are both interesting to see. We mentioned that last week, the fact that the pound Aussies move lower was clearly corrective, and an extension was expected to the upside. But we need to stress out here that now the pound Aussie is once again approaching this expanding triangles line resistance, right? There you go. So this is not the place to be buying it. This is the place to start being quite careful, because this trend line has already rejected price like 4 or 5 times in the past few months. So if you played the breakout here, that was a great trade. But on the other hand, if you haven't, this is not the place to start considering buying it. By the way, Blake has left his microphone unmuted. I'm going to mute him. Okay, great. We could hear his office. So pound Kiwi. Pound Kiwi was clearly lagging behind the pound Aussie. But the structure looks quite similar here. I mean, correction clearly capped by the psychological level of 2. Testing once again this pennant's resistance. Wouldn't be surprised at all if it follows pound Aussie to the upside and we see an extension towards 210. I think that against these lows at 2, the risk reward ratio is still very, very appealing for a move to the upside. Even the RSI, if you notice, first of all, was hitting overbought levels multiple times, which is a good indication, that the short-term trend and then at least the short-term trend is higher, right? And we've seen the RSI reset back towards like more neutral levels, but it now seems to be moving higher again. So especially if RSI also breaks through that trend line, I think we're going to see that extension I was talking about. So now that we covered the pound pairs, which were definitely interesting for the reasons we mentioned, let me also say that obviously what's going to happen with the fate of the USD yen will have to do with the risk appetite today. It hasn't definitely started well with this news, but keep in mind that there is still a bullish and a bearish case scenario, both of them alive. The bullish case scenario, of course, remains to being this inverted head and shoulders formation, the neckline of which is roughly at 109.50. And on the other hand, you will need to see a break like below 108, 107.90, to get some type of a lower low. Now, anything in between, in my opinion, is just gambling, right? So, I mean, trading it between 108 and 109.50. I mean, if you shorted it close to the neckline, that was excellent. But we're currently in the middle of that range, so doing anything in the middle of that range is, in my opinion, not worth it, right? It's purely a gamble. Now, the dollar has started paring back its gains from like a couple of weeks ago, and I want to see if it's going to hold here, retesting that high as a low or not before I decide what's the case here. Price action is not that easy to read, obviously. I mean, we still remain in an ascending channel, but the inclination is definitely not steep. So it's more of a crawling higher type of situation. So I'm not convinced in any move to the upside. I think that with momentum lacking for so long, adding several fundamental reasons, eventually expected the next big move is going to be lower. Now, does this mean it's going to happen from here? No, it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to happen from here. I mean, just look at the price action we've had in that channel. I mean, we started trading this channel at the end of 2018, so it's like in a month it's going to be exactly a year. So who knows? I mean, it can go on for more months, right? Now, crude is having a decent move lower today, and I remind you that we've been following this ascending channel for quite a lot of time, and and everything here in the price action is telling me that this is not impulsive, it's corrective. So we stalled for a big period of time in that confluence of the 200 daily moving average and the 50% fib. On Friday, we sliced through it and closed above it, but we're in danger of finding ourselves trading below it once again today. If we do close below that again today, Friday's price action will most likely have been a head fake. So would I be shorting here? I mean, under circumstances I would consider it, but I can tell you one thing for sure: you can definitely short the breakdown of this channel if it happens, because if that's the case, I believe that we're going to be headed back towards like 50.5, 51. So there's going to be plenty of room to the downside and a very appealing risk reward ratio, even if you decide to be more patient. Now, let me go through your questions and see. Trump, US cannot and will not cave into China. Agreed, this is massive. Markets have priced a deal with rollbacks. Hi, Steve, your thoughts on USD CAD, NZD CAD, Euro USD, and pound. Okay, we covered the pound. So having to do with the Euro USD, I've told you that my gut feeling is telling me that it's going to squeeze the market in the same way that the cable did. When we were breaking down below this double top, which I actually had made that double top the chart of the day, I believe that we're going to get, an extension lower. I like how we held the 61.8% fib, and I want to see what's going to happen here by retesting this 110.70 area. Eventually, I believe that the Euro USD, against what most believe, is actually going to do something like this. Okay, doesn't mean that it has to happen from exactly here, but I believe it's going to happen. So 110.70, we're almost there, is resistance. So, pay attention to that level. Now, having to do with USD CAD and Kiwi CAD that you asked, let's start with the USD CAD. There it is. Okay, one thing that, can give you a nice bullish indication in the USD CAD is the fact that we had a false breakdown from this, long-term ascending channel. And, frequently false breaks, are terminal, and then you get like, the totally opposite move taking place. So, I would be very, very hesitant being short the USD CAD here. But on the other hand, and you have to keep that in mind, 133.50, which is a confluence of resistances, has capped price action like, numerable times, right? So, on the other hand, it's not easy to buy it against 133.56. We're not that far away. So I would want to see more price action here. It would definitely be appealing shorting it at 133.50, right? Or alternatively, it would be appealing considering buying it at 131.40. But where it currently stands, I wouldn't be doing anything with it. Now, having to do with Aussie CAD and Kiwi CAD, I know you asked only about the Kiwi CAD, but since we're gonna have a look at one, we can as well have a look at the other one. Aussie CAD, nice breakout from that wedge, but guess what? We got rejected from the first support resistance area that really mattered. Now, there is one bullish scenario here that can still play out, and that is something like this, right? Retesting that as support and moving higher. But all in all, trapped in a range here and more or less in the middle of it. So if you want to trade it long against this trend line, risk reward is there for another move to 91. Now, if you want to look at it more as a range, then the risk reward isn't there because we're in the middle. And the Kiwi CAD, which you asked for, has broken above this triangle. I like the fact it came down, it retested the triangle, and it moved higher. Now, currently testing resistance. We can even mark it here. There you go. You can see it. A break above it, then we'll open a move towards 86. Still, there is no question about it. We don't yet see some type of a momentum higher that would make me really enthusiastic about it, right? I mean, in both those pairs, the moves higher look corrective to me more than anything. Of course, even a correction can extend decently. So that doesn't mean that you can't make money to the upside, but it means that personally I would be looking for other currency pairs to trade instead of those. From a fundamental perspective, Powell comments were telling. If there is no deal, then bonds and stock will fall together. US fiscal position is overextended and debt is unsustainable if there is little, no economic growth. Yes, there is little, no economic growth. There's no question about it. And Powell is a huge hypocrite, right? A huge hypocrite. Because the Fed is the last one that can blame the fiscal position of the United States, because the only one that enables the United States and other countries to be fiscally irresponsible is central banks and their monetary policy, because they distort with their monetary policy market discovery. Yields would have been very, very much higher, if they weren't intervening and buying back debt. So in essence, they complain about fiscal irresponsibility when they're the ones that make it happen. So yes, his comments are correct, but he's a hypocrite because, him and the central bank and, the rest of the central bankers are actually making that happen. Because if they stopped helping with monetary policy, fiscal irresponsibility, governments would have immediately to cut down spending, and they would have to shrink government size, and they would have to, to balance, or anyhow get the budget closer to balanced. GBP is likely to be impacted by TV debates tomorrow. Boris does not connect with public as well as Corbyn. Still think pound in uptrend, but due to stall a bit. Yeah, I mean, it can happen, but I think we're just breaking out. So I would expect, this last break higher might prove to be terminal in the short or medium term. Yes, I can agree with that. But let's open it here. But I think it will first run, more, right? Before we can see like some type of a deeper corrective move to the downside. So this is probably like, one last thrust, and then perhaps we can see, like a deeper correction. But as long as we stay above this broken purple wedge, I think you shouldn't be trying to fight pound strength. I mean, I know as a fact that a lot of people have gotten seriously, hurt by being in the wrong side of the market. So, I don't think you should be repeating those mistakes. Ziggy, what is a budget? Something, I know that you're joking as you wrote, but I've started wondering if, a lot of the people in charge actually do know what a budget is. Prefer to play long euro pound as per Dale comments. Yeah, having to do with euro pound, since you mentioned it, don't forget that the euro pound has also broken below that triangle we were talking about, and they actually have a pattern in play in that. And don't forget that my target remains 84.80, right? I was expecting the breakdown from the triangle. I said it multiple times here. And as you see here, I established this pattern in play November 11th. This is my local time, so it's roughly like 1 hour before the webinar. Triangle, it's already like 0.5% in the money. It looked to me like a very, very easy trade, in the sense this was a textbook bearish consolidation after that sharp move lower. So can euro pound turn higher? Absolutely, but I do think that it would at least first hit 84.80. Okay, so not yet. As with the pound, I think not yet. Soon, perhaps, but not yet.
Great analysis.
Thanks, Coach. Let me see if I have any questions I haven't covered. Nothing has changed in the metal complex, by the way. I mean, we were seeing weakness today, and some of it went away with the news, as you see. Still gold consolidating in what is likely a bullish consolidation, a pennant or whatever. Silver, this 1660, 1670 support area is still holding nicely. I still believe that the next big move is again to the upside, but not unlikely to see more consolidation or more weakness in the short to medium term. USD NOK, yep, we can cover that as well. USD NOK, I can tell you before I even open the chart. Last week, it closed the week, as I wrote in the weekend analysis, at a very key support area. You can see here why that was a key support area, like a head and shoulders formation. So nice rebound from the neckline, but there is still a decent likelihood that we are building this head and shoulders formation, right? So things are quite simple. 907, let's say, is key support. A breakdown down from 907, I think, will bring us down to at least 892, which is an area of support. So, until that happens, you have to be more cautious. 917 is a resistance. So, it is what it is. I believe that it is a good likelihood that we're going to actually break through that neckline and at least make it to 892. And I'm going to trade that as well, as I did the Euro Pound triangle break. So that's what I think. Coach? Coach? If your guest is here.
Steve, I'm here, and yes, Kate is.
Okay, perfect. Then you can go
buddy.
ahead and start the interview.
And Ben Maldonado, if you're here, I saw your comment. Yeah, could it be your 0.7 today? Nice call. Okay, and Gautam, you have a lot of ideas. If you're interested ever in being interviewed here on Face, ping me on Twitter, and maybe we could find a day for you. Okay, Kate, gosh, it's been such a long time. I'm going to make you a panelist. And unmute you. How are you today? This early morning hour for you, right, Kate?
I'm good, actually. It's an interesting time, so it's a good time to be awake, I think, to see what goes on in the market. It's a little bit at the moment.
Okay, are you talking to me on a speakerphone?
I'm actually on my iPad. My computer went a bit funny. Have I got an echo?
It's kind of echoey.
Okay,
it sounds like you're in a tunnel.
1 minute, hang on.
It's like everything went retrograde.
But perhaps if she has more than one microphone, so if she has a headset.
Oh, you know what? She did register twice. So her name was up there twice in the participants.
Okay.
Do you see it twice?
Let me look for it.
I used the top one because that's where she raised her hand.
Yes, I do see her twice. Yes.
So maybe I don't know what you could do. Mercury retrograde.
Okay.
See, you're echoing.
Yeah, I just one sec.
I think you've logged in twice. Have
that
you
better?
also logged in from another computer or twice on the same
Yeah, I've
computer?
got two on. I'll just quickly turn off the other one. That's all right.
Okay, you sound
Good.
better now, Kate.
Yes. So if you mute the other one, we should be fine.
Okay, that hopefully.
It did.
Got it?
You're good, Kate.
Okay, great.
So it's been a long time. Didn't we do this once when on FX Street?
Yeah, I think we were waiting for a top all those years ago, so that didn't quite happen. that was
No, I
fun.
think we did one on FX Street.
Yeah, we did, and I think we were looking, back then. I think it was trying to sort of thinking all this doom and gloom, which never happened, and we just kept going and kept going and kept going. I would say my astrology is probably my financial astrology. That is a lot more developed.
Do you want to share your screen? Do you have
I-
anything to show us?
Look, I can't because my computer did a Mercury retrograde, but I did put a couple of things on my Twitter if you can show it. I just threw up a chart of California, which is really quite alarming for next year.
Okay, so what are you talking about? Earth changes?
Okay, Coach,
No.
why don't you share your screen?
I'm going to. Yeah, I'm going to. Let's see. Okay.
From that chart last year, I was sitting and I said to a friend of mine before the earthquake, I think there's going to be an earthquake in California. Because we were talking about some, financial astrology, and what I'll probably tell a lot of your listeners, I kind of learned to trade on Wall Street, and I worked for a fund on Wall Street, and I've worked for a Forex fund. So I'm not your typical velvet astrologer. I'm a trader who uses astrology. So, I'm sort of always really coming from a trading aspect. And then for me, I guess the financial astrology is a bit like a confirmation bias or a tool that I use.
Okay. It gives you your biases, Kate?
Sorry, what's that?
It gives you your biases.
Yeah, I mean, the chart is, a proper stock chart is always number one. I would never take a trade without a chart. And I think I use the financial astrology for time. And then the timing combined with the chart entry is how I put it together to know that my risk and my reward is the absolute best it can be. Sometimes it's quite, I play sort of, I have a mentor. I don't know if you know David Green, who used to work on the floor of the stock exchange back in the 80s or 90s.
Oh, wow,
Anyway,
he's old.
yeah, we actually put our stuff together now. Look, when I was learning to trade,
You like older guys?
Oh, look, he's a dirty old man.
Okay, all right, Kate. So
but we put it together now.
Okay.
So he gives the levels to the floor still to this day,
Mhm.
to Peter Tookman, who you probably know, Pete. And now we sort of tend to put our work together a little bit, more as an experiment and just to play around. So this chart that you've got there's a really strong cycle in finance and in economics of Saturn and Pluto. And they're these two really big, heavy planets. And there's a lot of history of them when they come.
See my cursor?
Yeah, the ones that I've circled. And if you have a look at those circles, they all have a number of 29.
See it?
Yeah, look, the thing
129 here, 2 29s here. Is this more powerful because it has 2 29s?
Galileo. I don't know if you've heard of Galileo.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he was kind of one of the first people that sort of looked into all this astrology. Look, astrology is maths, really. Proper astrology. Not like, I'm going to wake up tomorrow.
Do you really think Galileo was one of the first?
He was. I actually was just
How
in
about
Italy.
Daniel? How about the wise men?
Look, I'm all sort of coming from the perspective how he did it and the stuff that.
Okay, because
Yeah,
that's been going on forever.
No, like his studies and the stuff that he did, and I was just in Italy and I went and visited his. I looked at all the big tools he used and stuff, and astrology is really maths, and those numbers are what are called degrees.
Right.
And until you've got these specific numbers, nothing will actually happen. So it's all about one kind of little symbol you've got there, which is a planet, making a specific degree, which is those numbers, to another planet. And you've got some really, really big heavyweight planets there. They're kind of the big bad boys. One of them's a good boy, but he's not talking nice to them. And you've got some really heavy planets all lining up there.
And that's what, March of next year?
That specifically is just the California chart.
Oh, I see.
That is the date you've got there on the top right, which is for March, 19th of March, 2020. I don't know.
So how do I make money if I survive the earthquake? Buy a Caterpillar tractor and be there for the rebuild?
We've got a date coming up on the 21st of January, which are these two heavy planets, Saturn and Pluto, are going to they're going to come to the same number. And I would probably be maybe short into that. I'm going to be short. I'm a little short now. I think actually personally we top about on the 24th or 25th of this month.
You're talking equities?
Yes.
S&P, NASDAQ?
Yeah. Well, whichever that's going to be. It's
okay.
hard to know.
All right, the market. Okay.
Yeah, it's one thing with financial astrology, if Donald Trump is I don't know if anyone thinks he's manipulating or not. If there's manipulation, the astrology will show up eventually, but manipulation always comes first. You mean
like central bank, central planning?
Yeah. If Trump's just trying to keep this market up while the impeachment stuff's going on, if he's got the ability to do that, then all the astrology in the world is not going to.
How does he do it? Just with news flow?
Oh, look, my thoughts are probably the same as everyone else sitting out there tweeting it. Look, who knows? This whole Twitter thing clearly is quite something.
Yeah.
I know a lot of financial astrologers were expecting quite a big crash maybe 3 weeks ago, which didn't eventuate. I've sort of stayed away from that stuff a little bit at the moment, but there's a very, very strong positive thing coming in a week, and it's very possible that because we're going to kind of top anyway at the moment. I think anyone with a chart can see that we're so stretched from the 200-day moving average. It's ridiculous.
So you're thinking this is a top, not the top?
I think it could be the top on the 24th, depending what time zone you're on the 25th of December. I think it could be the top.
Okay.
So, I think I'll take a short position just after that, and I'll probably run it. And then this thing's coming on the 21st of January for everyone, not just California. This is kind of this big, it's called the Saturn-Pluto conjunction. And I've put a link to an article on my Twitter page if anyone wants to have a bit of a look.
Which one is that? Is that this one, right, in the spring, the March out here?
That's underneath that. And I'll put some others up as well.
I see it. So do you correlate an earth change like an earthquake with a financial earthquake?
Look, my thoughts, and it's really out there that there's just so much wealth in California, that it almost, the entire US wealth is, or the entire London.
I think it's the 5th biggest in GDP in the world, right?
You've got Google, Facebook, all that. Look, I don't know. It's hard to something weird is going to happen here. I don't know what it is. I don't want to come out and say there will be an earthquake, but I'm watching this day.
Well, you did. You said event, outer ring.
Yeah, look, I did pick the last earthquake. So
okay. So you say you don't want to say it, but you write it down.
That's not a really good thing to be doing. But
okay, I'll have our IT guy edit out the outer ring.
Look, it's just I'm watching it with interest is probably the best way I could say it. But I would watch what the markets do on the 24th or the 25th, depending. I think you're the 24th over there.
I have an idea, Kate. I'll pay for a ticket, and you come out, and we'll have dinner on the coast on March 19th at 12:14, 15. What do you think?
Look, a lot of my work is time stamped, and one thing with financial astrology, it does allow you to.
Is that an acceptance of my invitation for you to have dinner during the earthquake with me?
500% on the 24th and we come down 1,000. Like, it's our 21st of
You
January.
don't want to be here? I mean, I'm offering you a free ticket. You don't want to be here in California on the 19th?
Actually in December and into January. So
okay.
we can do that possibly. Okay. Yeah, look,
Mr. Dale making a date. Yeah.
Look, I'm one of the few people that will stick my neck out with hard dates. That's very few people. I put my money where my mouth is. That's the one thing with what I do being a trader and a financial astrologer. I actually take trades and stuff. Look, I do a lot of stocks, mostly equities primarily, because I find, look, my style of trading, I've sort of done there and sat there and done all the pairs and forex, and I learned through the crisis, and I'm kind of into them. I like a good long swing trade now. That just suits my style. And one thing I think I'll say for people, if they prefer a swing, then that's a really good tool to use, because it's again, you've got that confirmation bias, so you can weather the ups and downs a little bit. If you're a real short-term kind of intraday person, then it might not be so useful for you, because that's not where you're going with it. You've got to really look to
define
the future.
Swing to me. 2-3 weeks, a month?
Well,
4 days?
Look, some companies I will run for a good 6 months. Some I'll even to a year, or if I want to have this sort of tax-free thing. It's all just an evolving style. Next year I'm sort of just going to play with coming in right before, because I feel like a lot of my stuff they manipulate down and I don't end up getting the best price, and I get really annoyed when people get better prices for me when I see the move. But yeah, look, I think, and look, I have been preparing my folio in saying that as well for the last probably, I have quite a large folio, and I have been selling out because of next year, not liking next year very much. So, there's a lot of preparation that you can do with financial astrology.
There's your website.
Yeah. And,
okay, I'm going to continue. I just want to let you know this comes up on it.
That's all right.
It hasn't been there. So
JP Morgan,
anyway, you're not going to send an astrological virus into anyone's.
No, we don't do that. We're all about stuff.
You're all about love.
Way, because I think it's good. It's good karma. I don't charge it my work, and I give it all away. So one thing with just related to, I guess, your markets, there are a couple of things, like if you're trading crude, you really need to watch Neptune, because Neptune rules oil, and every time when a planet goes backwards, it's called going retrograde. Every time Neptune goes retrograde, there's a crash in the oil markets, and then every time it goes forward, the oil markets move forward. Again, gold, you've also got Jupiter, which rules gold, and
I'm sure some of those don't work out.
They're pretty good. Look, Jupiter's about to change signs in the first week of December, and it's going from a fire sign into an earth sign. And when Jupiter's in fire, gold goes really well. Personally, I think gold's going to not do so great for the next, year or two. I think coming out of fire, I think it's had its oomph, and I think it's ready to just kind of plod along for a little while. And I probably not till 2022 when it goes into Aries, which is a big bullish fire sign. That'll be the next kind of really big up. If the markets crash, does gold do the inverse? It's really, really hard to sort of understand the inverse trades, I think, a little bit at the moment. They tend to look, this is your domain, but to me, they seem quite different to what they use.
That time frame, if you believe in lags of monetary policy, and that the weakness we're seeing now is from QT that only stopped 6 months ago, but started over 2 years ago, and now we're feeling the effects of it, and the Fed is now reversing course. This new regime may not take hold for a year and a half or 2 years. So that kind of makes sense.
That would make, and back in before, there used to be an Aussie dollar gold correlation, and all gone, and that
Where do you keep your cash? You keep it in Aussie, or what currency do you move after all your big winning trades? Where do you move your cash into?
I'm going to actually split it up between currencies next year. I don't like the Aussie at all. I think we're in for a massive recession here, especially if we're so linked to China. Look, I was actually reading something before, and I think China's going to I can't say, is it the yuan? I'm very bad at saying this.
No, that's good.
Yeah, December
Yeah.
28th. I found a date of the one that it's really going to hit a really, really bad downward spiral. The Aussies very linked to China and us economically, so I'm kind of actually going to spread out a little bit. There's so much news now, and just split it up because I don't. How do you know what to do, kind of thing, But the Aussie dollar is ruled by Neptune. Like,
What are you going to split it up? You buying euros, dollars, what?
I think the euro is way overvalued. So I probably wouldn't go too much into euro. I don't know what your thoughts on
British
that.
pound?
Maybe some pounds and some US.
So the dollar will still be king?
I haven't done. It's very stressful when you're in Australia, knowing that we're about to have an likely economic collapse. So we are at the mercy of China and our housing markets and all that sort of stuff. So it's there's a lot of planning needs to happen when you live here. I think with you guys being in the States, you're quite lucky that your markets and your dollar and it's pretty much a pillar of strength. So you don't have to worry so much to exposure to other countries so much where you are, whereas we have a really big worry with our Chinese exposure and our ties. China have literally bought most of Australia's property and businesses and ports, and if they fall apart, we're in big trouble. The Aussie dollar is, and each currency is ruled by a planet, and you probably have to do some Googling and stuff. And the way I've done that chart, all currencies have their own chart like that. So once you kind of learn how to do this, you can run a chart for.
Do you do it based on natal when the currency came into being?
When it first started trading. So one big thing with financial astrology and what's really, really important, particularly for indexes and for companies, it's the date it first starts trading on the exchange. It's not the date that, say, a company incorporates itself. It's always the date that the company trades to the public.
The IPO date.
Yeah, is exactly the IPO date. That's always what we use, and we never ever use an incorporation chart. You've got, like, obviously Mercury retrograde is really, I've got a whole YouTube thing on that. I never ever trade a company that IPO during Mercury retrograde. One thing they do say with Mercury retrograde, it doesn't matter what the market is, but you'll often have a trend change every 1 to 3 days, and then all your supports and
chop.
Yeah, which is really weird that the markets haven't chopped too much into this one. That's why you can sort of tell because funnily enough, Bitcoin is the absolute, reacts the strongest out of anything I've seen in Mercury retrograde. You have a little period before called a shadow, and for the last maybe 5 or 6, Bitcoin has plunged into every single one of them. You could almost
do you have a wallet not made out of leather filled with crypto?
No, I'm old school. I was trained by that dirty old man on Wall Street. So he's not really, but I'm really old school. I don't do all the crypto. I'm not saying that's anything good or bad.
Well, I mean, not trade it, but just believe in it.
No, I don't understand it. I don't trade anything I don't understand.
Good rule.
Yeah, I think that's really, really important. And I like things that have an asset. I don't tend to love ETFs and all the bits, because they don't really own anything. They don't have assets. They don't, anything that's kind of just a made up thing.
How far out do you look? Like, for example, I interview Norm Winsky. He's he's been doing this for 40 years too. And he only looks out a month at a time for his subscribers and signals. I'm wondering, do you ever look out, like, what could happen? Like, I know you do. You're talking about 2021. Didn't you bring that data up?
Yeah, look, we have a 6 months. I think you get too caught up in the what's going to happen. I think you really need to focus in the now a little bit as well. And I think
great advice.
Yeah,
do the right thing today, and tomorrow takes care of itself.
Exactly, because you can also, the trade can really go against you when you're looking too far out, because not everyone else is looking that far out. They're looking at the chart of what's in front of them right now.
Right.
And that's what everyone's seeing, the same thing on the chart. And that's almost a self-fulfilling prophecy, isn't it? If everyone's seeing the same thing right now, you might prepare. Look, it's different when I'm preparing myself to sell stuff, because I know if a strength comes and it's, particularly on equities, like I can get out, and I don't wait, so that is a little different, but I would say 6 months tops. But with financial astrology, and it's one thing I've done in my book, there's almost like a cheat when two planets come together. It's Jupiter and Pluto. They're the two big sort of business. It's luck and business. And when these two planets come together, there is a rule in financial astrology that an equity will top out in price within 10 days either side of this coming together.
Is that
And
what Gann called planetary oppositions?
Opposition when it's opposite each other. This is what's called a conjunction, when they meet together. So it's actually it's the absolute opposite thing.
Okay.
And I kind of like to almost have like financial astrology for dummies. I sort of try to teach it or show it in a way that it's just using a tool like on a chart. So don't go and learn complex astrology. Look for this one thing. And
the Forrest Gump School of Financial Astrology.
Yeah.
All right.
I've had two stocks do a 300% run, both on the same. This one transit has such a high correlate. And Raymond Merriman was someone that really found this. I think Raymond Merriman's probably the greatest financial astrologer ever. So he was someone that, and this has also come from a woman called Kay Shrinker. I don't know if you know of Kay. She's very famous in the States. And you can really look for one thing which will create a top in price. I probably should play around with some indexes. It doesn't happen, it's a 12-year kind of thing. So you've got to get lucky to find your stock that does that. So I kind of really, when you're saying I'm looking to the future, I'm looking for that one thing, because I can almost find a date when I know a stock is going to top and that actually falls away dramatically after. So I sort of have this little crystal ball, I guess you could call it,
Okay. So did you have something today? Because today could end up being a pretty nice reversal day in the S&Ps. I'm showing it right now if you could see my screen.
Look, I'm short personally because I just think it's too stretched. I'm not massive, again, I am chatting to my colleague in the US, and I know he is super he does all these weird things.
Does your stuff, besides give you like a potential high or low, give you magnitude, or do you have to use a different tool for setting targets, just your charts and not financial astrology?
I put them together. I would never use one without the other. Often like sometimes you got to use common sense as well with this sort of stuff. Look, I don't know what you think with that moving average, but that's looking pretty far down.
Yeah, this is the 200 is here.
Well, even what's that about? I don't know if you've got
a 50.
That's a 50. 50. Look, David.
And this is what I teach. It's a throwover of a rising wedge, or a lot of people are calling it a megaphone formation.
Yeah, I mean, I use a 65.
When are we going here? See my cursor? When's this going to happen?
Oh, look, I just told you I don't look that far out. I just we haven't. It's funny thing is we haven't even
during the earthquake. Well, at least if I'm short on March 19th, and I end up in the sea, I guess I'm going to have to change my will. Change my will to 17.
It's just a chart then, look, the thing is when you go short, and if you're short futures and you get it wrong, it's ugly. And we all know that. We've all been there. We've all done it. So, for someone that wants to play with futures, I think financial astrology is great because it's the only thing probably there is that can give you a date and time. And Gann as well, but that is financial astrology. There is nothing on a chart that can give you an exact date that something's going to happen.
Right.
Or a law of probability.
You get a window, right?
Yeah, I feel like as a trader, if you use time, you're going to have the edge over other traders.
Right.
Because time is one of the greatest.
The tincture of time.
Yeah, and there is.
Ever hear of a band called The Hands of Time?
No.
It was my band in high school.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. You didn't get on the charts in Australia in that case?
No. Barely made it out of
Okay.
Skokie. All right. Anyway, I was
Yeah.
just curious. You
Yeah.
were
But, you know,
a groupie of mine back then.
so look, the real thing, you know, I stress it's just having the advantage of time. That is all financial astrology. It's another indicator on a chart, the proprietary indicator, I call it.
Right. Okay.
And then you put that together. You know, even today for me, you know, I had a stock that ran 300%, and I saw it. I even missed the blow off top move because
That's okay.
you know, it was more powerful than
So
I
went
saw.
another 200% after you took it 300.
Well, look,
I
I about 200, but you know, I picked that to the day before it ran. You know, I got so and I
Isn't
have had
that fun when a plan comes together?
it's great, and it's even you know, if you don't take it all, you don't take off. Have you know had takeovers to the
Right.
day. But you
Yeah.
know, like a takeover is the most fun because you make your money that night and you're all done. You know, which is great. So there's a lot of I find it more fun just finding it. I almost don't care about the price. It sounds crazy, but just the setup is so fun, and it's so amazing to see it when it comes off. You know, the markets are a little different.
Knowledge
you know?
is power, so you feel powerful
Yeah.
having that type of insight, don't you?
It's quite wild. Even I don't understand how I can do it sometimes, you know, and
Yeah.
it is all out through my Twitters. If people want to have a look, you know, the proof is in the pudding there. That's one great thing about Twitter. You can't just sort of say something, you know, it's
Oh,
all
you
there.
can too. And
Written.
you know what people don't say on Twitter?
What's that?
I was wrong and I don't know.
That's exactly correct, you know, and you know, I'm so I don't know what's
Everyone
gonna
say it 10 times. It's cathartic.
Yeah.
I don't
Oh,
know.
I got it
I
wrong.
don't know. Go
Yeah,
ahead. All right.
that I was sure, and that ate me alive. You know, look, personally, I don't trade futures anymore. I don't like them. When you live in Australia, they're just awful. So if I ever trade the index, we have like our own little sort of Australian version of an ETF. I kind of only, I know David, he uses TVIX and stuff. He goes, and now you know, he used to go straight TVIX, and now he's obviously doing all the calls and stuff like
Okay,
that.
so let's kind of encapsulate this. Is this your next, since I don't know the time and you say time's everything, when is this happening or has it already happened?
That's the California. Look, I'll
Okay.
give you
All right, that's okay. So this is
outdated. So
March 19th.
that is March next year. No, that's next year.
When's this?
That's next year, 2020.
Okay, this is March. What's this?
That all is one date right there. That is
Okay,
just one.
where? This is all the one day.
Yeah. So if you go on
okay.
the other one that's next to it, the picture, there's lots of red squares, and the squares are kind of bad. And look, anyway, so date wise, I think with the fun, I'm looking at the 24th.
That's right around the equinox. Spring.
You're right. Exactly, it is. I hadn't actually thought of that. Funnily enough.
Okay, well, you know, you could just send $100 to PayPal.
Yeah, I'll just send me your PayPal and I'll sort that out.
My Bakewire number. Anyway, you know, really was fun hanging out with you today.
Yeah,
Kate.
so let's look at the 24th and see if there's a big rally on that day, and then I would go short after that. I wouldn't say you should be. What I will do is I will take a short after that. I probably, in case that is a steam train, and then I will be looking
the 24th of this month. You're going to take a short
for 1 week.
Okay.
If we don't top before, but it could be a big day. Let's put it that way, and then maybe look.
Well, you know, Thanksgiving is the 28th, and the Bears feast on Thanksgiving, and the Bulls feast on Christmas.
There you go. But you know, it's funny. Like, is there going to be a Santa rally? That's the other strange thing. You know, like there hasn't been many. So unless something happens, that there's no Santa rally. But yeah, I just maybe wouldn't short into that 24th if I'm not short yet. I don't know. It's a tough one. You know.
All right. Well, go ahead.
Wait, what Yuan does on the 28th of December, and then we'll look at the 21st of January, and they're the next 3 dates.
I really appreciate you sharing that with us today.
No problem. I'll be tagging you if anything happens.
Okay. And the best way for people to follow you, Kate, is on your Twitter handle.
Right, is with the KS with 4 9s. Anyone can ever send me messages. I'm one of those people that's always happy to kind of just answer questions and stuff like that. So,
well,
and
yeah, Kate, I hope that this holiday season the pips just rain down on you.
Yeah,
and,
look,
you know,
I've had a couple of good ones from the astrology. So I'm wrapping it up a little bit. So I thank you
Yeah.
very much for that. And I hope everyone, if they are going short or long, goes really well with it. And it's a really frustrating market for everyone right now. So pray for us for the Australian dollar for next year.
Uh,
So thank you for your time.
I always rooting for you, my trading warrior sister.
Oh, I love that. Thank you. We do our best in the big boys club,
Yeah,
So
yeah, you do better than the big boys. I know that.
yeah, look,
You and Mandy and the whole cohort of you
Yeah. We
Aussie women dream team traders. So it was
couple of us.
great. It was great talking to you today, Kate.
Thank you so much, and thanks everyone for listening. Okay,
All
all the
right.
best.
Good hunting.
Thank you. Going to bed. Good night.
Good night. Thanks for staying up, Kate.
Okay,
I'll
thanks
see you.
again. Bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, everyone. You like the show? I don't know. Did I get a date or not for Forex? She's not going to come and meet me here for the the earthquake. Anyone that wants to come and hang out with me on March 19th of next year, let me know. I'm taking reservations. And that's going to be a wrap. Keep trying. All right, everyone. Remember, when you look at the stars, just don't count the stars in the sky. Count your blessings. See everyone tomorrow. Good hunting the rest of the day, and see everyone for Turnaround Tuesday. Adios. You're very welcome.